Learning to write is an arduous task and one that takes a lot of thought and experimentation. I am always looking for ways to further develop my craft, and in this video, I am going to be sharing 5 writing habits that I am adopting in 2023 in the hopes that it will help me make my writing process more streamlined and more efficient over the course of this year. Before we get started, welcome to my channel. My name is Claire Fraise, and I am an award-winning young adult author who makes videos on this channel sharing the actionable writing tips that helped me make my own writing better. I am the author of the young adult supernatural thriller They Stay series, including books They Stay, They Whisper, and They Return. So if you enjoy reading young adult fiction and or horror or thriller books, make sure to check out my books, and without further ado, let's get into the content. So the first writing habit that I'm going to adopt this year is I'm going to learn how to dictate. I have been experimenting with dictation for a while now. I have a Mac and I know that the best dictation software for writers is Dragon, but Dragon doesn't work with Macs. I've been trying to use other software to dictate with. I have tried Microsoft Word and didn't find it very impressive. I did find some success with Google Docs, but I can't figure out how to make it not prompt me to start dictating every 30 seconds. Like, it will ask if I'm still dictating by popping up, and like I have to keep clicking the thing, which is just really, really annoying. And I've found that if I don't plug in my microphone and keep it really close to my face, that it won't pick up on everything I'm saying. So it's not the most efficient software. It's not terrible, but I am looking for a better alternative. Dictating has always been a challenge for me. My brain to hands connection is a lot better than my brain to mouth connection. And I also get really self-conscious when I am speaking my story out loud. I've heard of people who are able to dictate thousands of words every day, and I am so impressed by those people, but I find that I actually am not able to write as fast when I dictate just because I'm second guessing everything I'm writing. When I'm writing with my hands, it feels a lot more private, but as soon as I'm speaking the words out loud, it feels like other people might be listening in and judging me, which I know is all in my head, but it's still there. I want to learn how to dictate for a couple of reasons. The first one is that my wrists hurt. When I type a lot, and I type a lot, my wrists start to really ache, and I want to prevent myself from getting any kind of overuse injuries. I use those little hand grip strength things a lot, and those squishy hand grip strength balls, and I squish them and play with things at my desk. But I don't know how much of a difference it's making. I still get a lot of wrist pain, and I don't want to develop any overuse injuries, so I want to see if I can dictate my first drafts just to cut down on the amount of typing I have to do. I know I will always have to type while I'm editing because it's really hard to dictate edits, but I think that if I can dictate my first drafts, it will help cut a lot of my typing time out. Another reason I want to learn how to dictate is that it's going to up my productivity. If I can dictate fast, I can talk a lot faster than I write, and I'm hoping that that will allow me to get more words on the page while drafting. I'm also hoping that it allows me to turn off the perfectionism part of my brain that wants my writing to be perfect, because I know that it's not going to be very good while I'm dictating, so I can just spit words onto the page a lot faster. In my ideal dream world, I will be able to do things like take my dog for a walk while dictating so that I'm able to be productive even while doing these other things in my life. I don't know if that's always going to happen. I've heard of authors who are able to dictate while doing the dishes, while doing other house chores, and that would boost my productivity so much. So that would be amazing if I could figure out how to do that. Right now, I'm setting my bar a little bit lower and aiming to learn how to dictate while I'm just sitting there focusing on the dictation, and hopefully that works. I don't know. That's one of my goals for this year. The second writing habit I'm going to adopt this year is approaching draft 1 expecting it to be bad. I didn't do this while writing the 3rd book in my series, and it brought down my productivity immensely. I was on a bit of a high after finishing They Whisper, the 2nd book in my series, because I wrote that book in about a month and a half. So I thought that was like a big vote of confidence into my ability to write a book quickly. So I thought that if I could just have a really thorough outline and put fingers to keyboard / pen to paper, that I would be able to get the 3rd book in my series out in like a month or a month and a half, maybe 2 months. But this was not the case. The reason that I was able to write that book in a month and a half was because I'd done so much thought leading up to that month and a half, but it was really hard for me to formulate a book out of nothing and have it be something I was proud of in a month and a half. It also made me go into this next book with the expectation that this draft was going to be it, that I was just going to write this book one time and it was going to be great, just like I was so proud of the second book in that series. So it put more pressure on everything I was writing because I thought that was just going to be the book. So every time I wrote something and it wasn't as good as a chapter that I'd written in the second book in the series, or it didn't come as easily to me as a chapter in the second book in the series, I would second guess myself and I would feel really bad about my writing. And this absolutely tanked my productivity. I got very little written over the summer. I just couldn't figure out why this book was so hard for me to write compared to the previous one. Looking back, I know that a big part of that was the pressure that I put on that first draft to be perfect, and I didn't give myself enough of an opportunity to suck. This taught me that I can't cut corners in my writing process. I have to take and experience every step of the writing process as what it is, not skip steps and try to be better than what I know that I am. So this year, I'm gonna go into all of my first drafts expecting them to be bad and not expecting them to be anything more than what they are. I hope that by taking that pressure off of them, I will end up being more productive and write faster, but we'll see how that goes. That's just something that I'm going to try in 2023 and hopefully achieve. I'm a huge perfectionist, so this is actually a really hard thing for me, but we're gonna see. The third thing that I'm gonna do in 2023 when it comes to writing is give myself time to do all of the editing passes that I need to do. Writing books takes me time. I'm incapable of writing a book in a month. I'm incapable of publishing a book within 6 months. I was right down to the wire the past 2 release dates that I had, and it was really, really stressful. It's impossible for me to just edit faster. All a shorter timeline does is just give me less time to edit, so I have to skip editing steps. I can't just light a fire under my butt and edit faster without missing stuff. In order to do the work right, I need a certain amount of time. So when I'm setting all of my release deadlines and schedule for this year, I'm going to be more generous with myself instead of expecting me as a writer to bend around my schedule. I want to bend my schedule around me to make sure that I am producing the best quality book that I possibly can and release it in a way that doesn't have me scrambling and missing deadlines and disappointing people. It's important to really pay attention to how you work as a writer to make sure that you are able to craft your schedule and your process around you and not try to force yourself to be something that you're not. It's about understanding yourself and your brain and how it works, not really about changing your brain and yourself to be a version of a writer that you want to be. It's always good to push yourself, but it's also important to know yourself, and that took me a really long time to learn. The fourth writing habit that I'm going to adopt this year is recognizing that giving myself time to be creative is productive. A lot of these are not actually habits, they're more just like writing things that I'm gonna do this year, so this is my fourth thing. This past year I put too much emphasis on the time I actually spent writing, and I would always get worried if I wasn't writing right away or if I wasn't writing as much as I needed to be writing, and I would often not consider that important time that I needed to brainstorm and be creative as productive. I felt that if I wasn't writing, I wasn't being productive, and this is not the case. Taking long walks to think about plot is important. Taking things slow at the beginning of writing a project so that you have time to let your imagination run wild is important. Just because you're not pedal to the metal all the time doesn't mean that you're not being productive. It's important to have the slow brainstorming time and the productive writing time in order to create your book. And the fifth writing mindset shift that I'm going to implement in 2023 is that I'm not going to try and improve everything all at once. There are so many things that go into writing a book. When writing, you have to think about adverbs and dialogue and show versus tell and your narration and your point of view style, and thinking about all of that stuff at the same time can be extremely overwhelming, and trying to be good at all of those things at the same time is also extremely overwhelming. So this year, instead of focusing on trying to be great at everything and improve at everything and make everything perfect all the time, I am going to stop holding myself up to the standard of perfection and hold myself to making every book that I write better than the last one. I don't have to learn how to be good at everything at the same time. I can get better at things slowly, I can absorb things slowly, and I can focus on one thing at a time to make each book better than the last. If I hold myself to the standard that everything has to be perfect and all of my dialogue has to be perfect, and I have to be showing and not telling, and I have to make sure I'm showing all these emotions instead of telling them, and I can't use my stomach drop too many times, I get overwhelmed and I start feeling bad about myself. So I think that it's important for us as writers who are learning and improving to take things slow and take things one at a time. Instead of setting your expectation for your book up here at perfection, at mastering every single element of writing, I am going to be setting my expectation just that my book is a little bit better than the last one, that my dialogue is a bit more snappy, that I've understood something about writing a fight scene that I may not have understood before, to make sure that I'm always improving and moving in the direction that I have to be moving in without actually getting there yet. Because it would be unrealistic for me to already get there. So for me, 2023 is going to be a year of reflection, intentionality, and kindness to myself, understanding myself and not trying to push myself to be a version of myself that I am not ready to be yet, and only focus on taking things slow and moving in the direction that I want to be moving in. So that's all I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like it and subscribe to my channel. I make videos sharing writing craft tips, book recommendations, course reviews, and plot breakdowns, things that have really helped me on my own writing journey in the hopes that they also may help you. What is a writing habit that you are going to adopt in 2023? Let me know in the comments. I hope you all have a fantastic week, and as always, happy writing.